Hello, it's Richard here. You may remember at the tail end of last year, we had ourselves a Tom, a Marc and a Lacey from Orange Nebula Games, and they were on to talk about Vindication and Kickstarters and being in the creative industries, and also about having a toilet in the middle of their office. Well, they have been bitten well and truly by the podcast bug, and they've launching their own podcast called the Outpost podcast, which you can find on various podcast catchers. But I listened and I liked it very much, and I thought you would maybe like the chance to listen. So I am proud to present the first episode of the Outpost podcast, which you'll be able to find through normal channels on orangenebula.com and the outpostpodcast.podbean.com if you want to drop a subscription and continue to listen. But until the next time, stay safe, roll sixes, and you can press the button, Lacey. Not that one. That's it. Bye.
Derek, if you were a food, what food would you be?
Oh, a bagel.
Because?
Because bagels are freaking delicious. I love bagels.
That's a solid answer.
I get hungry, I just take a...
That was your arm.
Just gnaw my arm off because I'm a
Wow.
bagel.
Oh! Man, not smart enough for this conversation.
All right, everything has been pushed record. Everything.
We're starting over.
Yeah.
From the beginning.
Yeah.
There's 4 hours wasted.
No.
From the beginning of time.
Okay, hello, and welcome to the Outpost podcast.
Hey,
My name is Lacey, and I'm going to be leading you through this circus today. We have with us.
I'm Tom.
I'm Derek.
I am known as Mark.
Sorry, I was
Okay.
drinking coffee and I was unprepared.
We're all drinking coffee this morning. I bought water for everybody so that we'll stay hydrated.
Water.
It's important.
Water's for
Lacey's
fish.
very good at this.
Yeah.
At the bringing of the water.
Agua.
Our bodies are made of what? 60% water? It's important, people.
When you're with us.
That's true.
Normally the rest of us are languishing at like 30.
Coffee and sweat.
Yeah,
and
it's just
yeah,
coffee and
It's
desperation.
not good.
So anybody who has stumbled upon the Outpost podcast has probably heard of Orange Nebula before. Maybe they've seen our Kickstarter. Maybe they own Vindication, and maybe it's sitting in their game shelf or on their table, and they want to talk to us and hear more from us. So
Or maybe it's a year from now, and this podcast is a huge deal, and people are going back to episode 1. Start at the beginning.
I like
Beginnings.
that. So our goal today is just to give people a little bit more insight into Orange Nebula. So let's talk about what's going on at Orange Nebula right now. What are we up to, humans?
Well, right now we are up to fulfilling the last 1%, basically, of the Vindication orders, which are the troubled orders, things that have vanished into the postal system somewhere, things where people are, their game is caught in customs or never showed up. And then other than that, we launched our merch store at orangenebula.com and have been completely blown away by the interest in it.
Right.
So we, as designers, are really excited by merchandise. Especially, really well-designed, high-end merchandise, which is something that the board game industry doesn't have a lot of, and we didn't really know how it would be received. It has been received overwhelmingly well, which means we have a ton of shipping to do, and there are 5 of us, and we can only stuff packages so
Yeah, that's
quickly.
been fun. We've been like employing little brothers and and nieces and nephews and
Now
stepkids
we
and
understand their purpose in life now.
shoving
Order
envelopes
fulfilling.
full of t-shirts. Derek, how was it getting the website all ready for selling the merchandise?
Equally as exciting and terrifying all at the same time. Because whenever you build a website, you always hope that you always cross your fingers that you've, crossed your T's and dotted your I's. And then when you hit launch, and you just hope and pray that the wheels don't fall off, and you're just hoping it goes. But it's been a great success, and it's been really exciting, kind of like what Tom was saying, to see all the orders roll in and see the excitement around not only Vindication and the board game, but all the merch that we're doing. And it's just been really cool to see that kind of all unfold. But yeah, the website is trucking along.
And Mark, as we've opened up the store and been selling merch and that kind of thing, is there anything that, I don't know, maybe makes you the most proud or that you're the most happy about just over the last month or so that we've been doing?
I just love the way we've come together as a team and what it's done for us internally, because I think that shows externally. The merch is awesome. The game, the game design and the game, fulfillment and those things are really rewarding. But this group of people and what we want to do and our vision coming together is what's the most exciting for me. These guys are all stars.
Oh, I love it.
They're also working on new games, which we don't have a lot to talk about today because we're going to try to keep it short. By the way, we've already edited out like 17 minutes.
And most of it was talking about bowels.
Yeah.
I did turn the heater on the toilet seat, so that's all. We're ready.
It felt great when I sat down.
At this point, half the people just stopped listening and the other half
They're
just
like,
subscribe. Yeah, we're working on new games. We've talked about the space game, the collaborative space game that's coming up. There are other games too. Mark and I are both working on games independently, and then we bring them together into the group and work on them collaboratively. I think you'll find that the Orange Nebula format is going to probably be co-designs. Everyone will start things individually, but then in the end, we'll work on them as a group. You'll probably see more than one name on most boxes.
Just announced recently the expansion for Vindication.
That was fun to announce
imminent.
too, right? Like we just posted the picture and then January 2019. That was cool.
Yeah, it wasn't ever really in the plan to bring that to fruition right away, but I'm really happy with it because it brings to life some of the stuff that was early on in the development, stuff that we're pretty jazzed about. And it
was fun when we decided to do it. Mark and I go on these designy walks where we walk over the bridge near our office and we just talk about things. And we were walking over the bridge and we were talking about what we could do for an expansion for the game. And I started saying, well, what if we do this? And Mark said, well, that's interesting. That was actually in a version of the game, and I took it out because it was too much. So, well, what if we do this? And he's like, yep, that was in it. And I was like, what if we do this? And what if then this happens and you can do this? And he's like, okay, all of this already exists. It's already play tested. I have art for half of it. Okay. We're independently coming up with the exact same thing. It's probably a good idea. Let's run with that. And so it came together really quickly, actually.
Yeah, a lot of the content for this expansion for Leaders and Alliances was in very early development of the game, like years ago. And stuff that was really close to my heart and felt awesome, and people play tested it and loved it, and it just kind of evolved away from it. So to be able to bring it as a separate expansion is pretty sweet.
And Mark, can you tell me a little bit about some of the artwork that's going into this expansion, or do you want to wait and talk about that at a different time?
We're going to be revealing pieces of that to our email subscriber list, and then also during the campaign, we're going to be doing unveilings of that. So
it's so beautiful. Even just the cover art for the expansion box. If you look at it, the cover of the Vindication box, and then you look at the Leaders and Alliances cover box, you can actually notice that one of the monuments that's present on the cover box of Vindication, you're seeing it from a different perspective, like from a different part of the island on the expansion box. I mean, that blew my mind.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite part about
really
seeing
excited.
Was that your brainchild? Did you come up with that?
Well, yeah, Bartek, the illustrator, and I kind of went back and forth after going through the creative brief on that. And yeah, we wanted some perspective of the island to create a feeling of place, where you're at.
I love it. So it makes it feel so much more real, so much more whole of an
That's
experience.
part of what's great about collaborating with really professional, awesome artists is they just bring things like that and blow you away.
Well, and we'll talk about this in future episodes, but there's a dynamic working with creatives that is really important to us. And it goes into a little bit of our history as a design company, but I feel it's really important to let the illustrators go and have their way with the illustration so that they can take ownership and be creative and not specifically follow a strict regimen of exactly what I wanted that's in my head. I think that's a mistake. I think it's a collaboration and you let the artist kind of roam free. And so we did that there, both on the cover art and on the art that's going to be in the game. And so, yeah, I'm beside myself.
We just wrapped up 2018. So one of the things that I want to talk about a little bit is some of these end of the year lists that came out and are all over YouTube and whatnot. These 2018 lists that have come out. Tom, will you talk a little bit about what you've been seeing on these lists?
Yeah, one thing that's really been bothering me is a lot of these year-end lists in board games, but also in movies and television and music. There's kind of this opinion out there that 2018 didn't have anything good. That this was there's nothing inspired, there's nothing creative. This is just more of the same. And quite frankly, what a load of crap.
I agree.
If you are so uninspired that you can't go out there and find the incredible, amazing things that people are making, what business do you have running a podcast about that medium or making a list in general? There has never, ever been a year in any medium where there wasn't good stuff coming out.
Right.
Since the beginning of creativity. So if you're not finding those things,
When was the beginning of
Go
creativity?
outside. Go outside and find those things. Yeah. It's a statement more about you.
It makes me crazy. Anyways, so don't listen to those people. They are wrong. So much good stuff comes out every year. It just may not be really well publicized. The 2018 lists, in my opinion, were just a giant list of, stuff I still need to play. Oh my gosh, yeah, that looks awesome, and that looks awesome, and I forgot about that, and I didn't get to play that, and there's so much good stuff that came out this year.
Yeah, top 10 lists, top 9 lists on Instagram. It's interesting, to Tom's note, you find a lot of people say, well, I'm really surprised that this game isn't on your list, and really there's a lot of subjectivity there. Looking at lots of lists and just being involved in playing a lot of games and even beyond gaming into movies and books and those types of things, I think the more you go experience, the more you're going to find those treasures. And so that's the first thing I would agree with Tom, just to piggyback.
So what are some of the board game related lists that you guys have looked at and been able to reflect on a little bit?
We've looked at a lot. Obviously there's a lot of excitement for us to be on a couple of those lists. Dice Tower, Tom Vassell, had Vindication on there pretty high, top 5. And Man vs. Meeple released their top 10 games of the year. There were essentially 30 games on there because there's 3, different folks on there. David Waybright had us, I think at number 7. So those were really exciting. But, I think for me, I really like to see what other people are playing and what they say about games, just like anybody else. And Tom and I went to Board Game Geek Con in Dallas and got a chance to play a few of these games. And the City of Gods, I think, is one that kind of stood out to me as something that we really enjoyed.
As we've taken to calling
we
it.
just call it Teo now, yeah, because we can't pronounce the whole thing. Or I can't
Teotihuacan.
Yeah, exactly. Whoa!
I went
gosh.
there. We've been over this. I went there. I went in a cave underneath the Temple of the Sun. No, it's called the Pyramid of the Sun in Teotihuacan after hours.
See, we can all say it except Mark, so we all just say Teo to make Mark feel better.
Okay.
That's right.
I don't know if I can say it.
Lacey, on the other hand, doesn't care about making Mark feel better. She just goes for it.
Oh, but I make him feel happy all the time.
That's true. That's true.
Teo.
Yeah.
Teo. What?
Teotihuacan.
Teo. What?
Okay.
Teotihuacan.
Enough, my friends, my circus animals.
I'll get there.
So how excited were we when Dice Tower put out their 2018 list and they had Vindication on there?
Well, Mark and I immediately stopped what we were doing and went on a long walk.
I know that sounds weird.
But don't worry, Mark and I go on lots
we
of
go over these
Together.
really nice walks over the bridge.
Very beautiful
The
outside.
breeze is always perfect.
One of these days, Tom's going to push me over on the bridge, I think. And that's, I can swim. It's all good.
I don't know if I'd want to swim in the Willamette. Like, if the fall doesn't kill you, the disease you'll get after it probably will, to be honest.
There is that. Yeah, no, that was really, really exciting. We didn't really have any expectations for how the game would be received. And there's an interesting point here with my view on this, and that is I decided to bring this game into the world because that's what I wanted to make and that's what I wanted to create. I didn't do it for anyone else. I didn't try to meet people's expectations. I made a game that I think is fun and spent a lot of time playtesting it and perfecting it and making it really diverse and all the things that go into that. And I learned a lot along the way, and I made a lot of mistakes and kept going. And so I was hoping that it would be well received, but I didn't have, I figured I'd never hear back from people if they didn't like it, and Tom loved it, Rado really liked it, and Man vs. Meeple liked it, and a bunch of other reviewers, I think, really liked it, and some people don't like it, and that's okay too, because it's not for everybody.
What's exciting about that, though, is it's really validating to hear people who play a ton of games like our game. That's exciting. But it's equally as exciting just the exposure to know,
absolutely.
like, now so many other people are going to have the opportunity to make that value judgment for themselves because they know about it now. And our visibility is very small. So just having him talk about it is going to give so many other people the opportunity to play it. And if one new person gets the chance to play it and like it, that's exciting. And I think obviously well more than one other person is going to play it now. So,
Yeah, most people are like, what is this?
never heard
What
of
is
it.
this, Vindication? Have you heard of this? That's cool.
But no, they haven't.
Okay, so we've been really excited about that, but now we are into 2019. We've gone really one full year in the public as Orange Nebula, and now we're entering into 2019. And maybe we could actually tell people what the heck Orange Nebula actually is.
Who are these people?
Maybe we should do that.
We probably ought to.
So that's kind of my goal today, is to kind of give people who are interested just some more insight on who we are, what we do, because I think we're kind of interesting. Maybe they will too. You think?
Oh, we're interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, that's,
We're very interesting.
You will find out just how interesting as these podcasts go on. Become less reserved.
see what we're
Rolling
talking
up the
about.
sleeves.
Okay, so Mark, briefly, few sentences. What is Orange Nebula?
Well, I need to slip into the time portal first and go
Okay.
back.
That's allowed.
So for a long, long time, I have run a creative agency in the Portland, Oregon area. And so most of what we are and who we are is now known as Blue Blazes, which is a creative agency. We focus on branding and consultation and package design and web design and identity and those types of things.
Can I interrupt?
Yes.
Can you explain branding to
that's a good idea.
98% of people that
Also,
don't
you've
know?
That'll
already
be
hit your
many,
2-sentence mark,
Yeah, I'm
and
going to be
I'm
way
forgiving
over if I do that.
3 hours.
But
later.
what is branding? What does that mean?
So there's a longer discussion about what branding is. What we do is the visual design as it relates to presenting a brand to make it charismatic, to draw more people into your community, and to reveal to people the reason why they should do business with you. Branding really is the public perception of what a company offering is valued at. And so anybody who says they do branding, which just means they're involved with branding. And so I could go on for hours about that.
Good. I'm glad you're not. That was perfect.
You asked the question.
People know.
Don't be high-fiving in front of my face.
5.
All right. You can high-five again. Yeah, so,
Okay,
so
so
that's
that's
the
Blue
background.
Blazes.
Orange Nebula is not the service side. So Blue Blazes has become the service side where we do work for other folks all over the nation, mostly in the Northwest. But Orange Nebula is our product offering side where we want to inspire people by bringing cool ideas into the world. And we started with a board game, and we're going to be doing more board games. And we're going to be doing some things that are not board games, some products and, pop culture type things, I think is going to be a big area what we focus on. But I think there's going to be some stuff on the fringes of that. And it's just whatever inspires us to inspire other people.
Look for a button on our website soon that says pop culture type things as part of the navigation
Here
menu.
they are over
Yes.
here. So the big takeaway there is we are the same 5 people running 2 companies. One is Orange Nebula. One is Blue Blazes, which is more of a client service organization.
Exactly.
Yeah, very good. So what does the day look like? So for you, Derek, you're working on both sides. You've got the Blue Blazes side and you've got the Orange Nebula side. So what does a day in the life of Derek
Oh gosh.
look like?
A day in the life of Derek. Well, he rolls out of bed at 11:30 in the morning.
That's not true. That's not true.
That's pretty true.
Well, not as of late.
I'm kidding.
I did these things where I like go in waves where I'll like start getting up early. I'm like, this feels really good, and then I'm like, nah, I'll get up later now and stay up later, and then I get grumpy, and then it's not good.
I know.
But all that aside, what does a day at Orange Nebula Blue Blazes look like? Well, I think it's different every day. I mean, I don't think I've ever come to work. I mean, I've worked for Marc working on 4 years now. I'm over my 3-year mark. And, I don't think coming into work has ever been the same thing day after day. Both good, both bad. But I do most of the web stuff, so a lot of my time is focused on, like, the Orange Nebula website, but also doing some stuff for clients as well in the web design area. So, it's fun. It's a blessing to come to work. And I'm not saying that because it's close to payday, but,
or because you're inches from
because I'm
Mark's
inches from
face.
my boss, but no, it's truly a blessing to work with these guys. And just to echo what they were saying, it's the passion's real, and they're just absolutely pumped. And I think we all are, and that gets everybody all fired up. But it's exciting to come to work because there's always new things going on, and there's a whole bunch of possibility.
There's usually crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, well, our building is currently
and half of
always
us
under construction.
Wake up at 4 a.m. in order to cram 2 work days into 1 work day.
Yeah, there's that.
So
You're
by
insanity.
about
Nope.
9, some of us are
lunchtime.
bananas.
Yeah.
So, Tom, what about for you then? So, for Derek, he's doing some work for clients. He's doing some work for the Orange Nebula site, focusing mostly on web and digital. But what about you? What's a day in the life of Tom?
What would you say you do here?
Yeah.
Tom does nothing. Tom is just the eye candy of the office.
Yeah, I just stand by the window and wave
Smile.
at people. Yeah. Well,
What was the
What was the
question?
question again?
So, what do you do, Tom?
what do you do? Well, I wake up crazy early and I drive to Portland. I live in Salem, which is south of Portland, about 45 minutes if you come at 5 a.m. and 3 hours if you come at 6 a.m.
That's
Yeah.
very true.
So I come up to Portland 3 days a week. I work from my home office / basement / flooded storage den.
Oh, no.
2 days a week.
Super dang.
Yeah, good day. Yeah, and then I mean, everyone wears 12 different hats right now. So technically, I'm the operations director for both companies.
He does everything,
But
basically.
that also
Logistics
means
expert.
doing a ton of shipping and handling community management things and doing project management on
Social
the Blue
media
Blazes
posts
side. And, yeah,
and-
it's everyone does everything.
What about you? What's your day look like?
Oh, man.
You want to explain this to people?
Well, in a nutshell, I try really hard to make sure everybody has what they need and move kind of both companies forward. We are essentially one entity with 2 sides, and the Orange Nebula side kind of lives underneath the banner of Blue Blazes, right? So we're a creative agency, we're a creative family, and our purpose is to inspire people. So every day I get up and I just fill in the gaps. I still do design work on both sides. A lot of client contact, billing, sales, payroll, all the administrative stuff too. Some of it's done by Tom, some of it by me. But
I think if we talk more about payroll, we're going to get a lot of subscribes. In a minute, we will explain our goals for this podcast. This first episode is really an off introduction.
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
is not necessarily going to be the standard format of us just talking about, the restroom and payroll.
The heated
yeah,
toilets.
Yeah.
can I unsubscribe to doing payroll? I don't think so.
No. Unless somebody else subscribes. Then.
That's right.
Okay,
Get a
so
lot of subscribers.
So we got a little bit of an idea of what Orange Nebula is, what Blue Blazes is, what our roles are. So what about the Outpost? Okay, so we have the Outpost on the website. We now have the Outpost podcast. Tom, what is the Outpost?
So the idea for the Outpost is to have a channel of content that creates added value for people other than our products. So we want to give you kind of a behind the scenes look at what it takes to run a creative agency and a behind-the-scenes look at running a board game company, but we also just want to talk about culture and design, and sometimes in the context of board games, but other times not. I want to involve other creators. I want this to be not necessarily or at all a promotional arm for Orange Nebula and our products. It's going to be a completely independent sub-brand of Orange Nebula where we create content for people to consume that they find that in and of itself is valuable and interesting to people.
Anybody else got anything to second that? I think that was really well documented there.
Yeah, I'd just add on to that. I think that, people talk about creativity in a very broad sense, but, well, I guess let me rephrase that. I would say that people talk about creativity in a very specific sense, but, encapsulating that and what does that mean? Because creativity extends way beyond certain disciplines. So
This is a lifestyle for us, and it goes beyond 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. There's a professional aspect to our group that is always there, but quite honestly, it goes so far beyond that. We don't just punch out at quitting time. This is a 24/7 thing, and it's a passion thing for me. And I would say for everybody here as well. I think I can speak for everyone here. So this is our true culture. These are things that we're interested in, and creativity is at the very epicenter of that.
What is creativity?
and
Can somebody
design
give me a
as well.
a one-sentence definition of what we mean when we say creativity?
I kind of like what Mark was saying. It's a way of life. I think that's kind of an abstract way to look at it, but
I think it is, or at least from what I've seen in our organization, is like the ability to listen hard enough to inspiration and use our power to bring something into the world, and probably specifically through our filter, things that are going to make people's life better and happier and more fulfilling.
I'll tell you what creativity is not. It's having wonderful ideas that live in your head and then you don't do anything with them. I think to create is to be creative. And so if you're not making things, then you just want to be creative. And it may sound harsh, but deal with it.
That's
an expression
the
of truth.
The wonderful things happening in your matter.
Yeah, and thinking about something and doing it are two very, very different things. And a lot of people wish and want, and I was one of those guys for a long, long time. And there's nothing like making something. And it's never going to be perfect. Just make it anyway.
So that kind of feeds into the purpose of Orange Nebula from our perspective. We've said it a few times, but the purpose is really to inspire people to think bigger and to actually create whatever it is that they're thinking about. Is that accurate?
Yeah, my vision at the beginning with this, and I think I'll speak for all of us, and we're all part of the group together, it's to inspire people to think bigger so that they will take actions to overcome whatever things, are in the way of that. To create, to write, to go, be a better parent or whatever it might be. Anything. Just be inspired to go do it and stop thinking about it.
Well, and hopefully we're going to inspire that just by modeling it. Like we made a game, or we wrote a book.
Or we've shoved 4 people into a studio to try to put together content that people will love.
Maybe next week it's 12 people, and we're all sitting in a pile, and the video is excellent.
Yeah.
We're just going to keep making a smattering of things that we're excited about and we're passionate about, and hopefully people will see like, oh yeah, just make stuff, right? And then do it. Because the people that inspire me the most aren't necessarily the people talking about being inspiring. It's just the people making amazing things that they obviously are passionate about, and they're just doing it. And
Yeah.
And so that's what we're going to do.
Sometimes
whatever
words
we want to make, there it is.
Sometimes words aren't necessary. You just make the thing and let people bring to it their own experience. I mean, there's a bigger conversation there about art, what art is, and art goes through the lens of your own experience, and it's the same with anything that's made. That's the reason the games that we make are for some people and not for others, and there's so much subjectivity there, but it should never prevent someone from using all their gifts, abilities, and talents to go just do something with it.
Sound like you said gifts. Use your best gifts.
Dank memes. Yeah.
I want to do a hashtag smattering. That's what I heard when it was coming out of your mouth.
Smattering.
Smattering.
That is a fun word. I swear I had something to say just now, but I was distracted by
A smattering.
the smattering.
I also
Smattering.
like juggernaut. That's one of my favorite words.
Oh.
That's random.
Okay.
Yeah. Juggernaut.
All right, my
Smattering.
friends.
Do you know what
A
juggernaut
smattering
means?
Juggernaut.
What does juggernaut mean, Mark?
Unstoppable force, Tom.
Yeah?
That's what it means.
I
Yeah,
know,
you want to
but
learn?
X-Men taught me that, like all things in life.
There you go. Exactly.
All right, humans, listen. We are coming to the end of our first.
And non-humans,
Who else?
just in case. We're very inclusive.
We are very inclusive. If you're not human, you're part of our family. It's
Thank you.
okay.
Some alien somewhere just like, oh, thank you.
We do have one thing we like to do as a group is be really mindful, and we sit down and we have these mindful conversations. And a conversation we had recently was, what are our core values? And one of our core values is a family style community that's very inclusive.
Yes.
So I'm sorry we almost left you out, non-humans,
Oh my gosh.
That's right.
but that's not our heart.
Anything else that you guys want to go into? I think we touched on most of the core values. You know, some of the strategies that we intentionally use, I think most people see in the work that we're doing. But is there anything else that you guys want to touch on before we kind of give them insight into what they're going to expect from the next episode?
I don't know.
Tune in and find out on the next
There you go.
Outpost podcast.
Derek will be recording all our bumpers from here on out.
They're all going to be sung to the tune of Hamilton songs.
There we go.
Right. Oh,
Well, I think that pretty much gives people way more insight into us than they ever wanted.
We promise to be more entertaining in the future because we won't be talking about ourselves.
Are
and
you
then it'll
not
become less awkward.
entertained?
All right. Well, I hope that gave everybody a really good sneak peek into Orange Nebula and what we're about. I just want to reiterate how much we care about our community. We are so grateful for everyone who has had any part of our community, and for anybody who's tuned in and listening to this. We are so grateful for your presence, and we hope that we are doing our part to inspire you to think bigger, which is a new word, beggar.
Think beggar.
Think
Hashtag
beggar.
The smattering.
Okay, so next episode, we're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming Kickstarter and a little bit less about ourselves. Can we do a nice send-off? Can we say goodbye to all the humans and non-humans? Tom, give them your final words.
Goodbye, non-humans.
Derek, give them your final words.
So long, and thanks for all the fish.
Thank you for that, Derek. Now I feel like I'm on the right podcast.
Mark,
poor fishies.
give them your sign-off.
Oh, we love you all, and you already know that. There's nothing else I need to say.
All right, thank you guys so much for coming by. If you want to stay in touch with us, orangenebula.com is your hub. You can sign up for our newsletter. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. We would love to see you on Board Game Geek as well. So check in with us wherever you are. Chances are we're going to be there.
Hooty-hoo!
Wow.
It's not. I don't think I would survive in a really violent like time in history, you know. I love the show Vikings, but I don't think I could have been a Viking. I mean, can you imagine me
Yeah.
I think about it every
Vikinging?
day.
Look out. Look out.
The carnage. The sweet
I-
release
yeah,
from carnage.
I tell my family this, and they're always so encouraged to hear it, that if there's a zombie apocalypse, I hope we die in the first wave and we
Yeah.
don't have to live in that world.
Preach. Yeah.
And they're all really comforted to hear my intention for us all just to immediately die.
Yeah.
Well, then you can
But-
be like a zombie yourself.
Oh, it wasn't really a zombie
then you
apocalypse.
don't
There's
have
only
to-
4 of them.
Turn into a monster to survive.
Yeah, I don't want to be a
You
monster.
just die a good person.
Yeah.
And then eat brains for the rest of your life.
Well, sure, but that's not on me.
That's
just my body.
That's zombie.
It's the
My body
virus.
can do whatever it wants.
Yeah.
Just go down to the Winchester and have a pint and let the whole thing blow over.